The World Economic Forum projects a labor market where recalling static facts will offer diminishing returns by 2025. To thrive in this environment, workers need a different toolkit. It requires resilience to navigate setbacks, the flexibility to switch roles, and the self-awareness to solve problems that haven't even been defined yet. These needs stand in contrast to the historical organization of learning. For generations, classrooms operated on a rigid model, where the teacher was the active director and students were the objects of instruction, expected to receive information and repeat it. The gap between factory model education and a rapidly changing global economy suggests we need a new approach to how we develop human capability. This approach centers on a concept called student agency. In a learning context, agency is a student's ability to exercise control over their own thought processes, their motivation, and their actions. Psychologist Albert Bandura identified 4 properties: intentionality to set a goal, forethought to plan, self-regulation to manage work, and self-reflection to evaluate progress. These properties are inextricably linked. A student's choice to act is a direct result of how these elements interact. This is distinct from simple autonomy. Autonomy suggests an individual operating with total independence, making choices entirely on their own volition. Agency, however, is interdependent. It recognizes that learning is socially situated. It's about how a student navigates, co-creates, and shapes their environment in collaboration with the people and structures around them. True agency isn't about isolating a student to learn in a vacuum. It's about building their capacity to actively participate in and influence the world they inhabit. Cultivating this kind of agency from a young age requires a specific ecosystem. This is the design principle behind the IB Primary Years program. It starts with a shift in the teacher's role. Instead of being the sole director of information, the teacher becomes a co-collaborator in the learning process. In the early years, this looks like scheduling uninterrupted, co-constructed play. Play provides a safe, low-stakes environment where students can test out complex ideas and make their first meaningful choices. Teachers also establish shared routines, rather than dictating agreements. This extends to the physical environment. Students are invited to help arrange the learning spaces, giving them a direct hand in creating a room where they feel safe taking risks. By sharing control over how the classroom operates, teachers provide the evidence a student needs to believe in their own capability. That belief is the engine that drives further ownership of their learning. As students grow, this dynamic deepens through active listening. When a teacher notices a student's spontaneous wondering, they can pivot the lesson plan to explore that authentic interest. This environment of guided inquiry eventually leads to a formal milestone, the PYP exhibition. During the exhibition, students independently identify a problem, engage in collaborative research, and take full responsibility for planning and sharing their findings. This process acts as a physical demonstration of the agency they've developed. It's the moment where the planning, the collaboration, and the self-regulation practiced in the classroom coalesce into a project the student truly owns. Within the PYP framework, developing agency serves a specific objective: action. Action involves making responsible, responsive choices that impact the community. This can be as visible as leading an advocacy group, or as subtle as a deliberate, reflective choice not to act after considering the consequences. But an ecosystem this complex doesn't stop at the classroom door. It requires parents to adopt the same collaborative mindset as the teachers. At home, this means building self-efficacy through shared routines and consistently offering choices rather than simply dictating schedules. Teachers and parents can even collaborate on anecdotal records, documenting specific moments at home or in school where a child demonstrates intentionality or manages a setback on their own. Because agency is socially situated, it cannot survive in a vacuum. It requires a unified loop of support that connects the school desk to the dinner table. Children are born as keen observers. They naturally inquire and theorize about the world around them from their very first interactions. Static, teacher-led models of instruction often attempt to mold these natural explorers from the outside in, prioritizing compliance over the development of independent capability. The role of the adult is to construct the right environmental scaffold, the physical spaces, the emotional support, and the shared trust a student needs to build their own strength. To prepare students for an unpredictable future, the goal shifts from directing their growth to supporting it. By providing the tools and the space, we enable students to take the lead in navigating their own path.